All right, everyone, welcome into the All Birds No Bogeys podcast right here on JomezPro with Nate Perkins and Brian Earhart. Brian, it looks like you got yourself a little chateau up in Vermont. Is that a one bedroom? What is that? You got the microwave?
I think I screwed up. I didn't tell them I was traveling for work. I'm normally on the road full time. So yeah, something led to another, and I ended up in a one-bedroom condo. The best lodging I've ever had. I'm super grateful. This is a really nice, relaxing week here at Smugs. It's been great.
And just to give the people some perspective, the Smugglers Notch Resort is just that. It's a resort. It's on a beautiful ski mountain right across from the highest mountain in Vermont, and the disc golf courses are at the resort. So Brian, how far away from the courses is your one bedroom?
So Smugs, you can walk there. There's a trail that I found last year that allows you to walk to, I believe, like
Yeah, hole 12.
12 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. And that's like a 15-minute walk. But there's also shuttles, and that's why this tournament is so special, and it's been doing this for so long. You're on the resort. You don't have to go anywhere. There's restaurants here. There's a little shop here. You could take a shuttle to the course. You can shuttle back from the course. Everything is right here at Smugglers Notch Resort. You go over the notch, which is such a cool experience. You got Bingham Falls right there. You can go hiking. You can jump into some cold water with a waterfall in the background. You go a little bit farther past that. You can go to Stowe, which is the town on the other side of the notch. You got restaurants. You got I think there's like more hotels and cabins and a lot more stuff to do there. Yeah, it's just a wonderful place to be. And it's one of those towns that doesn't have fast food. I actually don't think Vermont in general has fast food. That's one of the laws in this state. And it makes it a really special place. Everything's a mom and pop shop, a lot of artisan food, artisan coffee, beer, anything that you want to consume as a human being, food and beverage wise, is well made. But then disc golf wise, Fox Run, Brewster Ridge, you have just world class courses, and they're courses that fit the Kale LaVisca, Simon Lizotte mindset. They're hard, but they're entertaining and scoreable, which is, to me, something that we need in the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We want the players late in the season to see beautiful courses that they can shoot well on and entertain the fans. And I feel like that happened on both divisions this weekend. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we get into the golf, you were talking about the good food up there, and what's the best plate you had? Did you eat the Red Fox just down the road?
The Red Fox, the secret's out. I did not get into the Red Fox. It was jam-packed, and anyone who's worked in the restaurant industry will know this. If the hostess or host will not even talk to the people coming into the restaurant, that means get out of my restaurant. We are way too busy. You're not going to get a table. And that happened. And I think some people were getting frustrated, but myself, I completely understand. Like, it's too jammed. This is a smaller town. And yeah, the secret's out. But you know what? Martell sponsored the event. The chef plays disc golf. Yeah, it was great. They were so excited to be out there sponsoring the event. I did not get there. The best plate of food that I had, Nate, was a home cooked meal. Nope. You know what? The special thing about this place is everybody has their little condos, and you can actually go grocery shopping. There's a Shaw's like 25, 30 minutes away in the other side of the notch. And me and some of the guys that I haven't seen in a while because I'm not on tour full time, got some groceries, went back to my place. I made some spaghetti for people, and I swear, Kevin Hoover and like Sam Gaddis, with the photography and media departments, they had like religious experiences eating a home cooked meal because of how few of them they get out there on the tour.
Wow.
And I totally get that. It's so special when you get to go to a person's house, like when you get a host for a week and they make you dinner. It's just wonderful. Like I remember playing the main state championships, and my host made me like a moose stew from fresh moose meat, I guess, that they got up there. And I I, I almost cried. I was so happy to have somebody just cook regular food for me. So That was the best meal, and just sharing those moments with guys that I haven't seen in a while. Sam Gaddis, the media operations guy, he's not on the road full time either. He's in Austin, and he's
Yeah,
there. Cam Varner, who used to do catch cam for us and a little bit of management, he's off the road doing some contract gigs. So everybody was back in town, and it was just a really
cool.
special time. And just sharing those little moments in the condos together is my favorite part. And yeah,
All
it was
right.
just a special week.
That's beautiful, Brian. Giving someone a religious experience with your spaghetti skills. The man's a chef. The man, he's on his Blackstone grill. He's got the Blackstone grill right outside his house. I got to stay there for Idlewild, of course, and I'm getting a spot for USDTC as well. So looking
That's
forward
right.
to some more of that cooking. But all right, next question before we get into the disc golf. Best set at Fall Fest. Tell me you went and saw some of the music, and tell me you heard Cat Merch's original song "On My Way."
I
Instant
saw a
classic,
little
Brian.
little bit of music. Rubble Bucket's a great band, very fun. Cat Mertsch. For those of you who don't know, she has like that great, like bluesy, soulful voice. She has so many different characters that she plays in life, and musician is one of them. And first time I ever heard Cat Mertsch sing, it was a really interesting experience. I was walking from the campsite to the course at WR Jackson out there at the IDGC in Georgia a few years ago, and I heard someone singing. Is it Red Drop Candy Mountain? Na 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 na
Big Rock
na
Candy
na
Mountain.
na na na. Big Rock
Yeah,
Candy
Big
Mountain.
Rock. Yep.
Uh, she was singing that song in the woods and it was echoing. And I was like, who is this songbird singing this classic folk tune? And it was Cat Merge. And yeah, her song is great. Her song's great. I'm happy that she had the guts to go up there and do it. And I remember back when Kevin Heitche went up there all those years ago and played
Yeah.
flute on stage with one of the bands. It's just awesome to see
Yeah.
people that we tour with, people in the family going up there and I don't know, doing something I'm definitely scared of doing. I think it's awesome that they did it.
Well, let's get right into the disc golf, Brian. It seemed like it was perfect weather for a bit, and then for the FPO, it seemed to kind of drop out. It was cold and windy in the mornings, but from your perspective, just how difficult was it to really grip and throw a disc early morning?
You know, I don't think it was terrible. It warmed up extremely fast, and the rounds at Brewster were not that bad at all. I wore a sweater both mornings. Actually, I don't have that many clothes with me, so I'll admit I wore the same sweater every day. But the first 2 days, I barely needed it. So in the shade at Brewster, if it was cold there, it would have been miserable. Um, but out there at Fox, the sun hits most of the course, and things dried up pretty quick. Saturday was pretty chilly, and actually, the first few holes, I was walking with FPO. Own looks pissed. She looks so angry. And Terry is like, Brian, can you go talk to Justin and see if she's injured or something? Her drives are not looking crisp. I go up to Justin and I'm like, is she okay? The booth is kind of wondering if she's injured. And he goes, oh, no, she's just really mad that it's cold. And I love that. I love that. And she defrosted. She shed a layer. And instantly when she shed a layer, she threw a fantastic drive. But, she's from Laos and she moved to LA. And, I don't think sometimes you grow out of hating the cold. And then she comes out with the mustache. Oh my
No, dude.
God. I don't know what,
Well,
like, I
talk
was on
about it. I
Reddit.
mean, what?
Yeah. So I was on Reddit and someone's like, I can't wait to hear the story about the mustache. My response to it was, there really is no story. I come up to Own immediately after my interview with Paige. She's got the mustache on. She walks by the crowd and she turns to them and says, I hope none of you ladies fall in love with me. And they just like bowed to her, laughing and having a great time. And then she walks with me to the interview booth. And she turns to me and goes, you can call me handsome little man in the interview. And I was like, I don't know if I want to call you handsome little man. That's a little off-putting. That's a little strange. I kind of did, but she rocked the mustache way too well, Nate. What are your thoughts?
She's hilarious, man. It was out of left field, and the thing that is crazy to me is She had just lost a playoff for the title in Vermont, and not 1 ounce of her during that interview indicated that she had just lost in the playoff. She somehow is able to maintain this insane level of, humility with it all. She's like, "Oh, I can't believe, Paige did that, that we were there." And I'm like, "Well, you did it too. You shot 10-20 golf to push into the three-way." So, it's just amazing that she's able to maintain that, and we've talked about it before, but I think her enthusiasm, her humble nature, they're secrets to how she stays so young and how she's able to compete and just keep everything light. She just keeps everything so light out there. So the interview cracked me up, and that before we talk about Paige, I just want to talk about Missy Gannon, Brian, for 2.5 rounds. She was the class of the field. Her putter touched the ground 3 times from C1 through 2 rounds at Brewster. A lot of C1 looks there, and going into the final 6 holes of round 3 back at Fox, Missy has 7 strokes over the field, and she has a chance to push it even further. The wind had kind of dropped out. It was calm. Missy goes 1 over on the last 6 holes with 4 inside the circle misses. She had a chance to extend the lead to potentially upwards of, 10 strokes, and instead she misses 4 inside the circle, and Paige is within 6. For me, even if she just makes 2 of those putts from C1, I think 2 like 18 or 22 footers that she missed, including the miss on 18. If she just makes 2 of those, Brian, the lead's at 9, right? And instead, she bogeys the 18th, misses all 4 of those from C1, leads at 6, and there's enough there that the chasers have fire. I feel like if she goes into the final round with a lead of 9, it's a completely different story. And I want to
It's
ask you,
done.
what did you tune into? What did you tune into about her performance at the end of round 3? And do you feel like it carried over into the final day, and it was a reason why she couldn't even buy a birdie during round 4?
Well, it's hard to say, but what I will say in general is that the first 3 days, Missy looked completely unbothered by everything around her. And she normally is. I think that's one of her superpowers. And in the press conference earlier in the week, she said that she doesn't even feel like she's ever had to really work at that. It's not like some book changed her mindset or there was some learning experience. She just feels like she's always had that. She told me 2 years ago, maybe, when I was filming season 2 of Level Up, that she calls it a controlled arrogance that she tries to carry with herself. She's like, as long as I don't hurt people or I'm mean to other people, I'm going to try to be as arrogant as I possibly can when I step to the disc golf course. And I want my confidence to be sky high. I want to believe firmly that I'm the best player on the planet. And for those 3 rounds, she did that. It looked like nothing anybody else did mattered to her. Everybody was kind of crumbling, and she stayed steady, didn't really make any mistakes. She putted fantastic. And the thing that I like, Nate, on a side tangent about Missy, she just now started throwing a fairway driver. She just started throwing the cicada, which is just a slightly understable fairway. That shot she threw on 15 at Brewster that we just looked at a little bit ago here, I can't even imagine her trying to do that with a distance driver. I'm trying to even think of years past because I've followed them before. It's such a forced line to do it with anything other than that disc. And that has opened up so many new shots for her. She's been able to play holes more of how they're designed rather than forcing something based on her strengths. So now she's throwing shots on hole 10 at Brewster, for example. She's letting the elevation carry her straight down the hill. She doesn't have to force the flex, push the nose down to that flippier driver, and chance the angle being wrong. She can throw the disc and like trust herself. And I love that. She's throwing putters now. She's throwing that Zone SS. She calls it the Zesty Lento. That she throws like the finished test flights of it. She's got a bag that's more diverse than it used to be. She threw a Meteor on hole 2 at Fox Run. She's kind of branching out a little bit more, and it's making her a much more dangerous player now, a lot less one-dimensional. But then on Sunday, she told me during the interview that I did with her after the round, which again, always gracious when a player does that after
Yeah,
completely
that's
blowing a
hard.
lead.
Yeah,
She lost
6-stroke
8
lead.
shots to Own. Yeah, I thought Own was going to win the tournament with 8 shots deficit
Wow.
going into the final day. But she said, the moment she started to falter, she checked the scores and she started to see, oh, what do I have to do now? But she already knew what she had to do. She has to birdie, and she has to keep going with the game plan that her and Tom set up. And I feel like that's why she's so consistent, because she sticks to that game plan so often. She got cracked, and she lost the tournament because of it. She lost her focus, and it happens.
1 over on the back 9. I mean, the only hole she birdied during the final day is the easiest hole, arguably, on the East Coast, 265-foot hole
Yes.
6.
Yep.
Certainly the easiest hole of this part of the season, and it was her only birdie of the day, and she had chances to close it. She had a chance on 12 from 30 feet, and then she had a chance on 17 to really put pressure on, again from like 25 feet, and she airballed it high right. It was a miss that I haven't seen from Missy in some time, and the emotions right behind it. She was like asking about the wind, and it's just something you really don't see from her. So this goes down as definitely one of her toughest losses. I feel like to have a chance during round 3 to push it to double digit lead with 1 round to go, and then to give it up like this. This is it's going to be a tough one for Missy, but it really doesn't shake my confidence in her moving forward. If anything, what you were saying about the disc selection opening up, I really think that kind of builds my confidence for Missy moving forward. She's always had to kind of slow down her arm intentionally to throw those thrashers on those shorter holes, like you were talking about, and now bagging what's the cicadas or Cigarra? Is that 6 speed? 6 speed, kind of
No,
understable.
Sagara they're both 7s.
Okay,
The Sagara is like a slightly overstable version of it. I feel like, from what I understand of like the Innova lineup, uh, the Cicada is more like a TL, and the Sagara is more like T-Bird-ish, T-Bird 3-ish. So slightly more overstable flight, but not too different.
gotcha. Well, her adding those molds to the bag, I'm totally with you. It's gonna make the game easier for Missy. Um, had a chance. It just had so many chances to close it out, but Owen gets in there in the playoff. She had some opportunities with some look. She had a look on 15, could have capitalized, but 10-24, 5 under. Just how good is that out there for FPO? It looked like the course was just playing so tough for them. The average score out there is well over par, Brian.
Yeah, I think it's a great score. I do also think that course needs something for the FPO. First off, just openly, 8 needs to change 100%. Something needs to happen. It needs to either go back to the par 3 placement, or they need to make some sort of par 4 placement that's better, because there's no way. Actually, did anybody birdie that hole this weekend?
Are they playing
The
the same
green is the
hole?
width of circle 1. No, they're playing a slightly
It's
shorter tee
up a
pad,
little
but it's
bit.
not that much
Sophia
different.
Donica got it final round. It's the only one I see. Only one birdie final day. And then
So,
nothing during round 3.
so yes, there's some holes like that. Hole 1, for example. That needs to change for the FPO. They need to play the short or the short position. That played great. That always scored well for the FPO. The MPO, I love that T-pad placement. I love that. These guys are getting way up the fairway. They're able to actually throw backhands into the green if they want to. For FPO, if you're throwing the distance driver and you don't throw 80 miles an hour, you run the risk of gliding down the hill and skipping OB. And then if you throw a good shot that lands in the middle, the only way you're going to get up and down is if you throw a screamer forehand that skips up to the pin. We saw Owen get the birdie. It's not a great hole, and I feel like the original placement opens the door for a lot more types of play. So 1, 8, those are barely birdied, and I would need to look through the scores some more, but there's some more holes like that. I feel like the course is so good, and it could score so well if some tiny tweaks are made. But the best part is this property is still only in its infancy. I saw Steve Brinster out there with Jeff Spring. They were walking the grounds. They were scoping out new tee pads. They have big, big plans for this facility moving forward. And Smugglers Notch loves us here, it sounds like. So, yeah, I have no doubts. I actually saw a new tee pad for 2 being scoped out. So a long pad being,
Sweet.
it looks like pushed back into the left.
Even tighter tunnel?
And it would be, oh yeah. So I think that would be
Wow.
the MPOT. And it looks like it would be closer to 300 and a way tighter gap. And I love it.
Wow.
Love it.
Cool.
Yeah, I hope they make that change. But yeah, that's what I'm hopeful for.
Sweet.
But in general, 5 down is good. Paige Pierce just trucked along, and I think her distance really played a factor here. Look at this putt from Paige on 1 to start the final
tenacity on the putting green, the belief, the will from distance, the full flight. That was outside C2 on hole number 5 if you're watching. And then here we go. Again, deep C2, just drawing it in from left to right. Here she is on 14, down the hill, buries it in the chains high. And still at this point in the round, it's still not really in the picture. She's like 4 back or something. And Missy has all these opportunities, and Paige just kept going. Even this one, going into 17, Paige was 2 back. Missy misses from C1. And then how about this? This was the moment of the tournament, Brian. The bridge skip. Oh, what? Where were you for that? Where were you for the bridge skip?
I was
up by the tee pad?
Pin high with where she went. I was right there. You might be able to even see me. No, they cut it too early. They didn't want to see old Bry in the frame, but she's OB. She's OB if she hits that anywhere else. That grass is
and
too
almost
tall.
a re-tee, right?
Yeah, 100%. But she clutched up. She threw a great shot, a nice floaty putter, put the putt into the basket, and then in the playoff, this is just brilliant. This is
Unreal.
Paige Pierce
Textbook.
in a nutshell.
Yep.
Under the pin. Owen has the putt. I thought she was going to drill this putt. It was a 35-footer uphill into a headwind. I thought she was going to force just an epic second playoff hole. But yeah, really sad for Misty to not be able to close it out. But you know what? Super happy for Paige to get the win. She played fantastic coming down the stretch. And there's certain players where if they're in the pocket and they're throwing the disc well, it is so satisfying to watch them throw. And Paige has had the distance for a long time, but these days it's the shot that she threw on 15 that's like flat, spinny putter that late flips. It's that type of shot that just gets me super excited about the sport of disc golf. And actually, Eagle McMahon said the late flip turnover backhand on 15 at Fox Run is one of his favorite disc golf shots to throw and watch fly.
Wow.
And I got to watch that with Paige this week. And yeah, I
that's
don't
like
know.
an almost impossible turnover as well. It's like, that's not your average turnover. That's like crazy late flip material. It's so hard. To me, it's almost a mandatory forehand, not just for my play style personally, but because of how straight you have to push that backhand before it turns. Like even like down the stretch, all the heat, Cole Redalen, super controlled, putter turning backhand player and goes with the forehand, right? Because it's just the window is so tight. And James actually texted me. I texted him after his 12 down. James shoots a 1080 rated 12 under par his final round. He said that he hit left side chains all air on 15 with the nomad turnover. It's just we're flying it right now on JomezPro, and you just most of the time you need more space left to shape that backhand. Brian, talk about how difficult it is.
I think it's pretty well balanced, frankly. When you go forehand, you still have to push the far tree line really, really far to actually hit the angle correctly. A lot of guys and girls get caught up early and they get hit on those late trees on the right side, and you have yourself an 80, 90 footer. It happens all the time. You throw a shot you think you got, and it's not right. It's a very specific angle. I think the backhand does play if you have the skill set to throw that late flip backhand. So going back to Paige, yeah, it was just a thing of beauty. And she told me, I play this hole for a 50-footer. She put herself right there. Fantastic shot. And then, yeah, just closing out the tournament, she ran up the hill up to the playoff. She was full of adrenaline. Missy, in her interview after the round, said Paige just doesn't want to stop playing disc golf. Paige is fired up. She's one of the most high-energy players and people that I've ever met in my entire life. And, yeah, I couldn't be happier for her. Congratulations to Paige. We'll get her on the show one of these days. We texted her, but
We'll get her on
she
the
did
show.
not
We
get
tried to
back
get
to
her
us.
on. Well, my favorite stat from the weekend, Brian, was came after Paige's win. And with this win, this makes 15 seasons in a row that Paige Pierce has won an Elite Series or higher level event. This is the longest streak all time across both divisions. And I think for me, when we have the GOAT debate, right? For me, longevity is such an important part of that discussion. And there's Paige has no equal as far as playing golf at the top level for as long as she has. And I want to ask you, Paige is 34 years old right now. How long can she keep this streak up, Brian? How many more years can she add to this?
If you look at the skeleton of her game right now, maybe she loses a little bit of athleticism in 5 years. Who knows? She might not. She might get in even better shape and be thrown even farther. But say she does. She loses 50 feet of distance. Pretty significant number. Who's to say she can't play like Own does? Own has proven to us that she, without elite distance, with actually lower end distance, can win major championships, can win world championships. So for Paige, I don't care. The mistakes that she makes are consistency mistakes. So if she just throws the fierce straight, throws the buzz straight, throws the distance driver straight, and makes putts, you're going to win. It's the spray jobs. It's the first available trees. It's the random moments where the feet want to go hyzer, but the upper body wants to go flat, and you grip lock it into the jail. That's what's going to stop Paige from continuing on. But for her, there's a certain cadence in the way she throws certain shots where I know it's going to be money every time. And she said it in her interview after the round. It's the catch cadence. It's that I'm trying to throw a lid as hard as I can to Luke Humphreys 200 feet away. And if she stays within that pocket, she's unstoppable. So my hope for Paige, if she continues to want to keep winning, it's hard to keep the fire going for that long. But if she really continues to want to be competitive, I think if she just simplifies the game and kind of does what Simon did that started his winning streak, I think we could see Paige well into her 40s. That's my thought. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I see the streak continuing for the next 3 to 5 years, but I don't think that she's going to be done when she hits 40. She's 10 years younger than Own, and You're right. Owen has proven that you don't need to stay elite in the distance category to be an elite golfer. And honestly, with the way that Paige is built, like she's a small ball of energy. She's a small ball of muscle. I just don't. I mean, outside the ankle injury, for over a decade, Paige like didn't have a
Yeah.
disc golf
Yep.
injury. She didn't have a disc golf injury. She didn't no elbow, no shoulder. Like she never dealt with anything. Also see Paige playing FPO majors well into her 40s. So one of the most impressive stats in the sport of disc golf right now is at least one win for 15 years in a row. And I think at the end of the season, we're going to have a nice GOAT debate where we can dive even deeper into some of the stats there. But huge congrats to Paige Pierce for extending that historic streak. And also, congratulations on the play-in qualifiers. Their seasons can continue next week at Maple Hill. We got Sentia Klesberga from Latvia, Hannah Manis, Chandler Ray, and JomezPro's very own Erica Stinchcomb. They are into Maple Hill. They can keep going.
I'm so excited about this format because now next week, so many players have something to dream about. Like playing in a tour championship is so exciting. I remember I got into 2 tour championships and I felt cool is a hard word, but like you feel like, oh yeah, I belong. I'm playing
I'm
with the
doing it.
best of the best of the best. I toured
Yeah.
all season long, coast to coast to coast, and now here we are with the best of the best. And it's a huge deal these days. It's way harder to get into the tour championship than when I was playing back. I think I played in 19 and 20 were the 2 that I played in. But yeah, now it's borderline impossible, but there's a chance now. If you have the weekend of your life at MVP, you can grab those 2 spots for FPO and those 4 wildcard spots for MPO. Nate, before we move on to the MPO division, we didn't get to touch on this last week because she announced right after our episode dropped, Kristin is retiring, at least for now. She said for a year and then maybe some more. So with that said, Nate, I want to quickly talk about this. My thought when she pulled the trigger and did this was, good job. There's probably a lot of people expecting a lot of things from you, but to be able to say, this is not right, I don't feel something is right, I need to be done, I have a lot of respect for you. It probably wasn't an easy decision, but at the end of the day, she's always been somebody who says what she means and does what she says. And I'm proud of her for doing that. She told us back in Estonia that she was kind of falling into some people-pleasing ways and was having a very tough time managing that. And the look in her eyes when I did that interview at Worlds with her, that, when Mo called me to go, grab Kristin for the interview, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one. And it was. I could just see in her eyes
Yeah.
that something was not okay. And whatever it is, I really hope it gets solved, and I hope she figures it out because, yeah, she reached heights that I've still never seen a disc golfer reach. We're talking about greatest of all time. I think she reached the greatest peak, but there's always going to be those what ifs. What if she stayed on tour for 5 more years? What do you think, Nate?
Well, when I read the post, it was early in the morning, and I had a huge emotional dropout. I ran out to Catherine and I was like, Kristin might be retiring, and just kind of sat there. And she asked me why I felt like it was such a big deal, and I kind of explained to her just how I feel like Kristin has had um, an impact on the game like not many players ever have. I think that she's up there with Paul McBeth in the amount of people that she has inspired through her play, but also mainly through her just like her grace and her wisdom. And I know that I've like oohed and awed over Kristin on this podcast, but that's because I'm a huge fan. I've personally been inspired in a huge way I've interviewed her 100 times easy over the past, 3, 4 years. I got to interview her at her first Disc Golf Pro Tour win at Deglow, when she hit that, like, 55-footer, on Paige on 17 to win, but, she was crying there and talking about all the sacrifice you make, but the amount of times that I've asked her a question and she has answered, and I've been struck with just, like, pondering, existence and my own failures on the course, and, like, doors have opened, like, wow, if only I could have understood that, and held on to that wisdom when I was competing, like, it felt like Kristin had a key to the hardest parts of the game, right? And anytime she needed to unlock the door and walk through it into the flow state, like, she was able to do it. And that's the highest, um tier in sports, is to be able to, like, manually turn on that flow state. And so Kristen's absence, I can't even imagine a reality where we don't get to see her compete again, because to be fair, she didn't fully announce her retirement from disc golf, if I'm not mistaken. She just said she has no plans to play next season, and beyond, right? But I don't, and maybe it's just because I can't accept, but I don't see reality where we don't see Kristen compete again at some majors. I don't see her coming back and touring in the United States at length, but I do imagine a world where she plays again, um, because of the way that she worded that post, and also because of how accessible disc golf is. Like, you could take a few years off. She could take several years off and come back in her late 30s and play European Open or play another Worlds in Europe. So maybe I just need to accept it, but I still think we'll see her play. But for the time being, it's a huge loss for the entire sport. I'm sad as a fan to not get to witness her, up close and personal, compete again. And I'm sad for the FPO division, because when you win a tournament and Kristen is in the field, I think that it brings more gravity to your win, to anyone who is able to do it. Yeah, so just, it was a sad day. And as far as what you mentioned about being proud of her, I mean, I can't imagine how difficult of a decision that was for her. I don't know where she was at with her Latitude sponsor, but all her sponsors, like, there's a lot, there that she's giving up. I mean, financially, this has to be a massive. Well, I'm talking millions. Like, this has to financially impact her in the millions if she's not playing over the next few years. Um, and that's hard. That's hard to turn away, and it's hard to turn away more glory on the course, more titles, a chance at being the greatest of all time. So, insanely difficult decision. And yeah, I honor her in whatever path she chooses, and look forward to the impact that she has on the sport outside of the competitions.
Yeah, we talk about the Hall of Fame a lot here, and I already know the answer. So I'll just ask it to the proverbial void here. Uh, Kristen stops playing disc golf forever after this year. Is she in the Hall of Fame? Of course.
Hmm.
There's going to be a little
Hands down.
sliver of Kristen in the Hall of Fame. Um, you know, whether this flash in the pan is just what it is, or she comes back and has some sort of miraculous comeback. Regardless, I don't care. Juliana Korver had her career, and her career wasn't very long either. But she was a Hall of Famer before she came back. And then she came back, graced us with her presence. It was wonderful. She had some moments in the spotlight, and then she left. Um, Someone on Reddit in the basketball world uh, said something that really struck me as a great way to determine whether or not somebody should be in the Hall of Fame for something. Can you tell the story of a sport without said individual. And if you can't, then they should be in the Hall of Fame. And with Kristin, you can't tell the story of the progression of disc golf without her. So whatever happens, uh, whenever she turns 45, if they keep that rule, we're going to be calling her back to wherever the ceremony is, and she's going to have her time in the spotlight to reflect. But Kristin, we wish you the best of luck. Never hesitate to reach out to us. We'd love to have you on the show if you'd ever want to be on. Move on to the MPO division, Nate. It was wonderful, and there were so many different storylines, so many different players, so many different stories. What did you pick up?
Yeah, I'll go kind of rapid fire here. I'll start Ezra Robinson, obviously 13 under day one at Brewster. There's kind of that glass ceiling there at Brewster. I'm pretty sure 13's been the record since Yuli shot it at the Worlds in 2018. Of course, it's changed a bit since then, but I played with James Conrad one year where James birdied the first 14 holes in a row, parred 15, and then dime 16. It kicks left OB late on a putter shot, unreal. But he ended up at 13 that day too. And back to Ezra though, the emotions kind of got to him during day two. He wasn't feeling it to start, but then quickly started getting pretty frustrated with his results early, and it just kind of derailed him. Right, we talked about this. The one leg up that I feel Isaac has over his younger brother is that he's a little bit more in control of how he reacts to the results that he's seeing, and I feel like that's what cost Ezra early. A couple other players though that continued throughout the week, Cole Redalen and Paul Krans. I'll start with Cole because at one point this season, Brian, Cole couldn't even walk up the fairway, right? Paul Ulibarri carried Cole's bag, I believe, back at Ledgestone, carried his bag for a round because he could hardly put one foot in front of the other, dealing with that hip injury. He played all right there. He took third at Idlewild like a week after that. He got eighth at Cascade Challenge, but those were his only two top tens of the entire season. His average finish going into the Green Mountain Championship, Brian, was 33rd. I mean, talk about resilience. The belief you need to maintain in the physical rehab process and the belief you need to maintain in the idea that once you are actually healed, that you can still compete at the top. Brian, what do you make of it?
He's just so poised. He's such a pro already. I believe he turns 21 in 8 days. He's still 20 years old. I I'm so impressed with him. What I'm most impressed about is how seriously he takes this job of being a professional disc golfer. To me, it almost feels like he talks to me in the same way that like an accountant talks about his job. He's so matter of fact that he's a professional disc golfer. He wears the clothes. This is not a costume for him. And he's going to do anything it takes to be the best he can possibly be at this job. And he's dealt with more than just this hip injury. He's dealt with multiple injuries already as a young player. And what does he do? He goes home, he does the responsible thing, he tries to do the physical therapy, he's putting himself in the gym, his diet is clean, he's doing everything he can to already set himself up for a long career in disc golf. And his game is just so stylistic. Reminds me a lot of Paul McBeth, actually. Do you agree?
Yeah, in the way that he is fully composed and on the putting green a little bit, the touch that he has on the putting green and also the full body control on the tee, right? Paul used to be a little slower. I feel like he comes in with a bit more pace. Right? He started fast and then he got kind of slow on the tee pad. Now he's kind of hitting it with pace. And Cole, what was that, like 3 or 4 years ago, where he, like, remodeled his run up, I think maybe after Drew Gibson. But I always admire Cole's, like, balance on the tee pad, and that's probably the thing that Paul and Cole share the most is just kind of that athleticism and that balance that display?
The one thing that I noticed today that made me go, wow, that's Paul McBeth. Hole two's tee pad. So yesterday, he was like, hey, Paul, why did you throw mid-range on two? And I always think it's funny to ask why a player threw a disc mid-tournament round if you're playing against them. But Paul was explaining, like, hey, I kind of try to pop the nose up and slow down. I don't like the ceiling. And Cole's like, just taking in the information. He's like, okay. Next day, he does the Paul McBeth, not straight leg brace. He bends into the front leg. He kind of gets low to the ground. He floats the putter and throws this dime. Full physical competence, full control over the shot. I love a player that can not only drive against the brace leg and straighten out, but then also just like dip into it and throw like something super floaty, super controlled by the wrist. And he's been doing that for a few years now. And he did it at Ledgestone when he first popped off there initially. And I was blown away at that, his ability to control nose angle at such a young age. And that's what I see in Cole that reminds me a lot of Paul McBeth. And it was just special to see three kids, 20, 20, and 21, going up against a guy that was he was a professional player when they were 2, 2, and 3 years old. That's when his pro career started. Unbelievable.
Unreal stat right there. Yeah, and the other youngster on that card who you see a player like Paul Krans play and you wonder why we
Oof.
haven't seen more of him. Like, how is this
Oh, look at that
this kid's
throw.
first lead card? I mean, I can't put my finger on. Our producer was saying the same thing. He said he can't put his finger on who he reminds us of. But his technique is flawless. He's got he's the size of Emerson Keith. We're talking like he's a foot shorter than Gannon's shoulders, right? And has really compact disc golf swing, plenty of power. And this was his not just his first lead card. He hasn't ever made a chase card on the Disc Golf Network, and that was after, was it round 2? That was his first interview. What was your takeaway from speaking with Krans in person and watching him play firsthand?
Well, back in March 2023, my younger brother Tom texted me out of nowhere and said, he was like, yo, this kid on Simon's channel is absurd. You have to watch this video. His throw is perfect. And I watched the video, and I had never seen this guy before in my life. I had heard the name Paul Krans from, him winning Am Worlds the previous year, but I had never seen him throw before. And it's just efficient. It's like a classic modern disc golf throw. It is form first. All the good pieces of the puzzle are there. The timing is beautiful. His ability to create lag is why he can throw as far and efficiently as he does with a small frame. His putt has actually been the thing that he's struggled with most in his career out here on the road. He just struggles to put the disc in the basket. The throwing has never been a problem for him. But what I notice is the optimism and the patience from Paul. It was so wholesome to come in after being told I'm interviewing Krans, and I see this huge smile on his face. He gives me a fist bump. His family's there. His dad's filming him getting interviewed. He sits down and goes, "This is my first EGN interview. I'm so excited." And then I hear all these stories from them. I kind of probed them, and I wanted to hear their story of how they even got to this point. And I don't know if you heard in the broadcast, but his mom is very risk averse. She made sure to tell me that. She said, I don't like him traveling. I was not okay with him going to these big tournaments back then. And in 2022, she opened a chocolate wrapper, and in the chocolate wrapper, it said, "Book a flight to Michigan." And
Dude, that
Amnats
is
was in Michigan.
too
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't know.
That's
I don't know what
crazy.
chocolate she opened. but
Dude.
they booked the flight. I love that I love that that's what put her over the edge. It reminds me of a Hallmark movie where she opens the wrapper and the music starts to get real wholesome, and she's like, "I should book the flight to Michigan." And then they went,
Wait,
and
did
he
you
got
hear
second.
and then he got second
Yeah,
there?
he's
That's
yeah.
did you hear
What do you
Sexton's joke about that? He's like, I don't know, man. I think Paul might have, like, wrote that and, like, slipped it into the fortune cookie." Like, that's so good. Sexton's so funny. It's like, there's no way. He scribbled it on the paper and, like, opened up the fortune cookie. Oh, it's so
I love
funny.
that I love that it's a story that's so near and dear to their family, and Sexton's like, "Ah, I'm not buying it. I'm not
I'm not
buying that
it's
this
not real.
happened." But
So is it
anyway,
Krans or Krans?
it's Krans. It's
Krans,
Krans.
okay. Okay, yeah, 'cause
Yep.
they were saying a couple on the broadcast. I'm like, "Oh, Krans sounds" I've never heard that before, but, it kinda makes sense, but they were saying 2 different ones, so wasn't totally sure. So Paul Krantz
It's
well,
Krans.
Paul Krantz, he cashes for he got solo 4th place. He cashes for 5,000. That's 10% of his career earnings total. His next biggest cash on the season, Brian, is 1,400 at an A tier at Brewster. It was the Brewster
Mhm.
Ridge Open back in
The
June.
bro.
The yeah, the bro. But he hasn't cracked the top 10 on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, at least this season. His best was 13th at MVP and then 14th at Waco. So he hasn't cashed for over 1,000 on the Disc Golf Pro Tour this season. And this is just was an impressive weekend. I mean, we have a new star on our hands. He can take this game as high as he wants to go, and looking forward to seeing him again. Hopefully next week at Maple Hill.
Yeah, he lives about 30 minutes away. He's no stranger to that course. It is interesting, though. He has this great weekend here. If he doesn't have a great weekend there, he's not going to make the Tour Championship, and it would be so sad to not see him there. But I hope that this momentum carries him. But the thing I like about Paul is it seems like the strides he's made are rooted in patience and gratitude. After the second interview, he just gets up out of the chair and he just gives me a big old hug, and he's like, "I'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, Brian." And I just loved that. And talking to him, he's saying things like, back in the day, I used to always tell myself what not to do. Now I'm starting to just be more active in the visualization. I'm trying to tell myself what to do, and I'm learning all these things about how to make the shots I want to make happen. And it seems like he's building a foundation for himself to really make it out there on the road. His parents told me that he's going back home for Maple Hill, and he's going to sleep in his van outside because he prefers it because he loves the van life so much. And to me, those are those little things that are going to make for a sustainable career. We talk about Paul McBeth's pro career, his longevity. How many floors do you think that guy slept on? There was no money in disc golf when he first started doing this. He slept on hundreds of floors, I'm sure. And if you're okay with that, you're okay with that discomfort, being the best player you can be out there is way easier. So shout outs to Paul Krans. Great weekend. So stoked for you, man. And yeah, after talking to him and his family, I just couldn't be happier for them.
Cool. Well, moving into the GOAT, the clear GOAT in my mind, Paul McBeth. We got to witness him win back at Idlewild. You and I got to call that, and the emotions that win brought were real. They were heavy. The entire community, it felt like, was pulling for him. Did you feel that at all this week?
I felt more of a balanced crowd this time because New England loves their disc golfers. So Krans actually was getting a ton of love from the crowd. Everyone loves Paul, but I think a lot of people wanted a good battle. A lot of people were cheering for Cole too. Um, Gannon being back 7, I think a lot of people were rooting for him to I said it in the broadcast, and I heard Dawson them snickering in the background because I mentioned that Gannon has the chance to play puppet master in the background and put a little pressure on everybody, even though he might not have a chance to win. And lo and behold,
He did
He
it.
did play
He did
puppet
it.
master.
He
He did
did,
pull the
dude.
strings a bit. And I think in general, the cards dynamic was set up for all 4 players to bring something unique to the table, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Paul had his hands full right away. Uh, Everyone in his card came out swinging, and he came out a
He
little
missed
bit
the putt on
flat.
1. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny. On hole 1, he comes up to me in the middle of the fairway, and he goes, "Yeah, man, if I win this tournament," he said something along the lines of, "The last time that me and Paige won a tournament together, uh, you had to watch it in black and white," or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, he's already thinking about the win. It's hole 1. He's either that confident or he's that far ahead of himself. And it felt like, the next couple of holes he was a little bit flat, but then he got going. He
Yeah,
got the
the putt on
huge birdie
3.
putt on 3. That kind of kicked things off for him. He was 10 for 15 from circle 2 going into that round. I have never
Really?
sniffed those numbers. Yeah, he was 10 for 15.
Wow, 10 for 15, and through the first 3 rounds, he missed 1 during round 1, and then had 13 looks from C1X round 2, only dropped 1 of them. So he had only dropped 2 putts from C1 and 3 from C2 heading into round 3, and then goes 3 for 5. So, yeah, his putter is what won him the tournament this week, right? He did not lead in tee to green, circle 2 in regulation, but the putter was just hot. And for him to miss from C1 to start the round and then make from, what was it, 45 on hole 3, that straddle, like inside the tree, buried that one toward the OB, that kind of set the tone. And really off and on. Like he didn't have back-to-back birdies until 13 and 14. Like he made a mistake on every other hole for the first, 12 holes of the round. And it was a battle. It was a battle. And like you said, as Paul and Cole are, they're not playing bad, but they're not playing great either. Cole's bogey on 9 was tough. Misfired it straight there. And then the bogey on 12 was really hard after being in perfect position. But while they're doing that, playing relatively flat, Gannon Buhr, he bogeys 7 and then just goes lights out. Birdies 8 through 15 and then misses the putt on 16. And that was really kind of it. It kind of popped the energy there. But then he birdies 17 and 18 to shoot 13. So you called it, Brian. Gannon was playing the puppet master and put the pressure on Paul. I feel like on Paul's approach on 16, the pressure was immense. If I'm correct, Gannon had thrown first, right? And put it out there like pin high, 30 feet. And Paul, he was in a good spot, but those roots are just tough. And you could just feel the pressure through the screen today.
It got to a point on hole 15, Gannon walked up to the tee and I heard him say, "I got a birdie out." And when he said that, I felt like the rest of the card heard that. And I was talking to the booth and I got to say on the broadcast that he's playing with no ropes on right now. He's climbing without ropes. If he makes a single mistake, he's dead. And that's a moment that feels scary for everybody because everyone starts to understand, oh, this guy's actually in contention to beat us right now. And this is a guy that I could see birdieing out right now. So now we have another
Yeah.
guy in the mix that we have to worry about. And when Gannon threw that flick on 15, you could tell he was trying so hard to guide the disc all the way down the fairway. He didn't want to let go of it. And he ended up making a mistake at some point, but that putt on 15, oh my
Unreal. You were right
God, from the
behind. I
knee.
saw you on the
Oh, it
network.
was disgusting.
Buried
People
on
just
the
don't
pole.
do that. It just doesn't happen like that. It came out. It was one of the
Well,
best
why
looking
did he
putts
go
I've
to a knee?
seen because he's the best knee putter in the world, and it's just
But
better for the trajectory.
I don't understand why though. It seems harder because now you have to add the element of getting it up and nose down. I can't imagine how I was just questioning even with him being such a good knee putter. To me, it feels like it makes it harder and it takes your legs out of it.
I felt like the tree that he was straddling and trying to putt between uh, slanted inward the higher at least from what I
Mm,
remember, slanted
okay,
inward the higher it
okay.
got, and it helped
Gotcha,
him get a better
gotcha.
angle. Um,
That makes sense.
not entirely sure, but when he goes to the knee, I don't question at all.
This is
That is one of the
filthy.
best looking putts I'd seen all week. And that was mid circle too. No wobble, perfect pace. And the crowd just erupted at that point. And that's why I thought it was kind of a cool weekend for the spectators. And again, another tournament that our ticket sales were up again. Disc Golf Pro Tour
Great,
in-person sales have gone up this year. It's been a really big
great.
rise, and it's just exciting in general. I think people are realizing that these tournaments are so fun to come out to. And again, the fans were so close to Gannon when he hit that putt. They erupted. It was so fun. Everybody felt it. Um, Paul almost aced on hole 10. We all almost had a heart attack. Everybody was gasping, and like a couple guys were sitting down after that. And it was great. It was a great
Can't
experience,
handle the
man.
heat.
And
That's cool, Brian.
they couldn't handle the heat. Paul comes up to
Look at
17,
this.
squeaks one in on
Come
the weak
on.
side, and that was the putt for the win. And the guys in the booth nailed that one because that he's thinking that. He steps up to that and says, I'm good. I make this 35-footer. I'm in. I'm the
Yeah, he
champion.
knew it was for
Only
the
his
win.
second win. Only his second win of this tournament. He'd been coming here since Gannon was in junior high in 2016. And man, it's
Tough
just
tournament. Tough tournament. There's so many guys
yeah.
that can win this one, right? We've seen so many different champions. I mean, Doss came out in 2017, arguably one of the better wins of his entire career because of the field. I was actually talking with him about I was playing with him and Wes here in Bend, and he asked me about Paul's win at Idlewild. He's like, "Do you feel like this is one of the best wins of Paul's career?" And at first, I'm just like, "Absolutely not." Right? I don't even know if this is in the top 10 of Paul's career. And then Nate Doss goes on to make a great point about playing against the best player, number one player in the world, like in his prime right now, like unstoppable. He's 10 rating points higher than anyone else. And then how deep the field is. Like, is it Paul? Is it a top 10 win then? I'm like, well, that's a good point. And Doss was like, my win at Green Mountain. Someone said that to me, and he said I was initially insulted by it. I'm like, wait, I've won 3 world titles. Like, what are you talking about? And then they made their same pitch there. So yeah, Green Mountain has just produced a lot of different champions, right? Barsby got his title here. Paige Bjerkis got her title, from left field that season. Yeah, Kev Jones is one here. Dickerson. It's just so many different champions because there's so many people in the mix constantly. Paul shooting 39 for the tournament, almost buttoned it up pretty neatly, averaging 10 around, but he just wasn't making mistakes. Uh, one bogey round one bogey round two, and then 1070 round at Brewster. 2 bogeys on 7 and 8 during his 12 under 1087 rated round 3, right? 7 is probably the most bogeyed hole in Vermont. 8, again, that's just a tough stretch of golf right there, but he closed it out. He gets 6 of the last 6 during round 3, and then he didn't bogey during the final day, right? He wasn't unbeatable. The door was open for Cole, door was open for Krans and even Gannon. But Paul didn't make any major mistakes and just kept it clean and just made enough putts to win. And I think I think a Paige Pierce and a Paul McBeth win are both great for the game. I don't think there's any denying that.
Here's what I want. Here's the world that I want. I want this offseason to come. I want Paul to finish on a strong note. He told me in the interview after he won, he wants to get in shape. I want you to go into hiding, Paul. I want you to go and train all winter. I want you to come back in the beginning of 2026. I want you to step on the gas. And now I want to see all of those kids in the young generation chase you. I want Gannon to go, oh boy, I got to keep going. I can't rest now. I can't just be the number one guy in the world. Paul's kicking my butt again. And I want that era to start. We had a little bit of a Gannon Ricky era, and I really hope Ricky gets better soon. Sad to see what happened to him this week, missing his tee time, dealing with his
Do you know
wrist
what
injury the
happened?
past few
Do you know
weeks.
how he missed it?
Uh, it, yeah, it was just from what I heard from the caddy, it was just bad time management, and they just didn't get there in time. Yeah, that's it's just a matter
Tough.
of fact. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's just been a weird season for Ricky in that regard. So we got a little bit of Gannon Ricky, but I want a fresh, healthy, in shape Paul McBeth riding this timing that he's found because he's clearly
Uh-huh.
found his backhand timing. Um, and I want him to keep pushing Gannon. I want him to make Gannon fired up to earn that spot as the number one. Because now it's starting to feel like Paul's like, okay, I can beat this guy. I know how to get under his skin, and I'm going to keep doing it. And he told me I need to get way in shape. I need to get in shape for next season. So that's the paradigm that I want to see
Cool.
happen in 2026.
Well, Brian, we have, speaking of Ricky, we have a pretty cool situation going on right now with Ricky Wysocki and Paul McBeth, the race to a million, right? So they've both cashed for 46,000 this season. Ricky has cashed for, let's see, I just had Ricky up here. Ricky has cashed for 871,000 in his career, right? I think he's getting about, a grand this week, so 872. Paul, now with this win, he's taking home 15K. He's cashed for 833. So that's going to move him close to 850. So he's going to be about 22,000 shy of Rick at 872. And it's not going to happen this year, but let's say Paul closes with 3 wins. Let's say he wins Maple Hill. He's going to get a clean 20K there. Wins US, going to get 30K there. Wins playoffs, he's going to get 50K there. Right. So he's going to be close to that $1 million mark. And it's just, a number that no disc golfer has ever gotten to before. And how, fitting is it that two of the greatest of the generation, Ricky and Paul, are closing in on that number. We're going to keep
I
a
love
close
that.
eye on that one for you guys.
Yeah, that's it's a cool race, and it's a cool race if you're a disc golfer that's been in the game a while. Because frankly, if you're a new disc golfer that came from another sport, you look at that and you go, "That's sad."
Sure,
Like
sure.
LeBron James makes $1 million a minute. Like that guy makes $1 million by sneezing, and these guys are making $1 million in their whole career. Like that's sad, but
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's astounding when you look at how low the money was when they started doing this for a living. And because of them, and because of a lot of movers and shakers doing this for the love of the game, we now have people like Gannon having $200,000 seasons and just crazy numbers. And it makes me happy to see. I think our game can continue to grow in regards to prize money. I really do want to keep having professionals out here. I also want to grow the game on a scale where countries are starting to really take the game seriously, and bigger and more beautiful pieces of land are given to disc golf because they see the value in it. And I think as long as the players can come out here and continue to commit themselves to the game and the courses, push the players to play with power, with finesse, I think our game is going to continue to get more and more beautiful. And that's why I want to see the game grow. And yeah, I don't know. Guys like Paul continuing to play at a high level, pushing these younger guys, I think is only good for the game. Nate, any thoughts about the MVP Open before we wrap?
Um, the Green Mountain Championship is one of the premier events of our sport, no doubt about it. And I think that the MVP Open at Maple Hill might be the single most prestigious tournament, right? And that's saying a lot. The World Championships obviously is the best title you can win, the biggest title, because it comes with the levity of you are a world champion, right? And but I don't think that there is a winner at Maple Hill that's ever been forgotten or going to be forgotten. And I think Maple Hill holds on to the community aspect of disc golf better than any other venue. And I think that the intention behind the course design and the attention to detail of the course makes it one of the more memorable tournaments you could ever win. Right? I think that there's not really a forgettable hole out there, and it's a complex puzzle, right? To solve that course, you have to have a variety of shots. You have to be on your game. You have to have power. You have to have touch through the woods. You got to be smart, and it's really hard to play that course the same way back to back days. You almost never see someone repeat their rounds because of that, because of how difficult each shot is, because of the variety of shapes out there. So I think Maple Hills is one of the more difficult tests of the season, skill wise. And I also think it's the one of the funnest experiences you can have as a player or a fan. Just the atmosphere there, the lay of the land, how fun it is to just go down there behind hole 8 and just get with that crew there and watch that island hole play out all day. The energy that the fans bring there, good food, good beer serving all day long there, music, poker, pool. It's a party. And it's the birth of the disc golf pro tour, right? Steve Dodge is the man behind Maple Hill, and he's the man behind the pro tour. And there's a bit of that aura kind of surrounding that property. So I think it's an amazing piece of disc golf, and shouting out the people that made it into MVP Open, the wild cards from this week. Brian, again, love this new format here. This is if you were outside of the top 72. Okay, you were before this tournament, you were not going to get into MVP Open. The best 8 scores outside of the top 72 made it in. That's Connor O'Reilly. He made the cash, 19 under par for the tournament. He was the only one on this list to make the cash. We'll note that. Andrew Fish at 17 under. Jeremy Colling makes it in. Zach Arlinghouse, Carter Ahrens, Ryan Mon, Henrik Hagman from Sweden, Garrett Gerthy, and Bo McLaughlin. Those guys are in. Luke Sampson was the first one out on that list, but their seasons get to continue into MVP. Brian, what do you have to say about that tournament coming up next week?
It's one of my favorites. It's a great place to be a spectator. The players, I think they're a little split on Maple Hill. I've actually heard some of the newer players, like younger players, speak poorly about Maple Hill. But I think it's
Too
because
hard.
they're, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with the distractions from the fans. But to me, this is what you have to prepare yourself for. This is the Phoenix Open mixed with the prestige of a bigger tournament. And you have to be ready. Someone's going to scream when you're throwing. Someone's going to cheer when you're trying to make a putt. It's just how it is. You're on a really old school course that's scaled very well over the years. A lot of the holes are on top of each other. There's bleachers everywhere. The New England disc golf fans are some of the craziest in the entire world, and they come out there to party each and every day, no matter if it's rain or shine. So I've heard some negative sentiments from some younger players, but on the other hand, I think it's one of the coolest places to be. It molds the past and the future so well. Yeah, every time I go there, I just love it. And being in Worcester, Mass, is such a different place compared to the rest of the country. I don't know how else to say it. It has such a unique character. The locals have such a unique personality. Their accents are very regional and very specific. It's just a really really cool place to be, and I can't wait to go there. I'm going down there tomorrow with Kevin Hoover. He's taking me in his truck. Photographer for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, one of the coolest guys I've ever met, and we're gonna make it happen. Shooting the putting game finale this Wednesday. That should be a blast.
Where's that at?
One last. It's gonna be at Maple Hill. We're doing a drop zone course. and
Sweet.
just lining up some of the most treacherous putts we can think of. And that'll be the last one for the year. And then back home to Charlotte, USDGC, and then I'm on course for the Tour Championship. But, Nate, I will see you in just a little bit at the USDGC. And we got a little something special for you guys. We're not going to talk about it just yet. We'll talk about our idea/plan after Maple Hill. Nate, I think I'm done. You can handle this close.
Man, it's been a great week, Brian. Stoked for you up there in Vermont. And yeah, stoked for the direction of disc golf right now. So that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for tuning in and sticking with us here on All Birdies No Bogeys. We'll see you next Monday, and look forward to watching the action at Maple Hill, Brian. Enjoy the trip up there tomorrow.
Bye. Mustache on. Hope you ladies don't fall in love with me.
So funny, man. He's so funny.